Hi there, this is Darlene from Drive Traffic, and we're somewhere around video 5, I think, in this class. What we are going to do now is look at Google Search Console. We have set up Google Analytics at this point. Now we're going to set up Google Search Console, and this is something that we are going to use regularly once it is set up. It's going to show us the keywords that people enter into Google and that Google associates with your website. So to get to Google Search Console, it's not that easy. It's not easy to Google. I've ended up bookmarking it. I have a folder here called GSC, and in there I have direct links to all of my clients' Google Search Console. So the URL is search.google.com/search-console. It really is convoluted. If you go to Google and try to get there, then you'll just have a few more hurdles to get through. I will paste this into the classroom so that you can directly click on it as well. I already have Google Search Console set up for my darsin.staydirectly.com. I'll show you what it is that I'm wanting to gain from here. I'm clicking on a report called Performance, and the default view is 3 months. You can show a maximum of 16 months. The data is always, I'd say, at least 3 days old, so you're not seeing data from today. Now, this website, I don't expect anybody to show up in Google. I send traffic there directly. So I would be surprised if anybody got there coming from Google. I have another website that is a little more likely to drive traffic from Google. I find a lot of my direct bookings through a Facebook group, and I just send them to this website. It comes from Your Porter, and this actually, Your Porter is running Airbnb for me. But when they book direct here, they're not going through Airbnb. So what I wanted to show you are the queries or the keywords that are associated with the website. Again, there's not much here. I will change to another website, and I will show you how to add your website. The Heart Institute, or the Civic Hospital, is a hospital close to our house, and we primarily host medical students. These queries are not really relevant, but I just wanted to show you what they are. I will switch to another one of my sites, darsin.ca. Here you have a few more queries. Notice that none of these queries drove clicks or actual visits to the website. They just showed up in Google, and we'll talk more about that as we go. The idea behind these keywords is to give you some content ideas for your website. So Host for Hire tells me that I could write some content on my Darsin website about Airbnb Host for Hire, for example, and what it would look like to hire me to manage your listing or to consult on setting it up. A big one for me, well, big one, if I had extra parking available, I could write a page of content on this. It turns out that I don't have parking available even for my guests. Street parking in front of my house is limited to 2 hours, and given that medical students are at the hospital for at least 8 hours, it's not feasible to leave their car here and walk to the hospital. But if I did have parking available, which many people in my neighborhood do, they offer parking to people who work at the hospitals. There's actually another hospital near us. They could have I could have a page of content on my website about that, or I could provide phone numbers to neighbors who rent parking, that sort of idea. Shared Apartments Ottawa, perhaps that could be, I don't know that I would write a whole page of content on it, but maybe I could use that phrase in my content. I do talk about shared accommodation, parking at the Ottawa Civic Hospital. So I could write a post about that just for my future guests and explain to them how parking works at the hospital. And the fact that they could leave their car there and walk back to our house. I don't know that anybody would really want to do that. If they've got a car, they could stay a little bit further away from the hospital at a place that has parking. Hotel SEO, that could be interesting for me. So nothing other than parking stands out to me here. And that's okay. When you first launch your Google Search Console, you are not going to see much that is meaningful here. What we're going to do in this course is a combination of creating content and then looking at Google Search Console to see what keywords people are using in Google that would be relevant to your website or give you ideas of content to create. So Google Search Console, we have to have had Google Analytics set up already for this to work in the way that I'm going to show you. What I'm going to do is add a new, I'm going to see if I can get to the screen that you would get to. I think when I put that in, it just brings me to probably the first, yeah, it brings me either to the last or to the most recent or the first listing in here. It looks like the most recent. So what I'm going to do in the upper left-hand corner, there's a drop-down arrow. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to choose Add Property. In my case, I need to add a URL prefix because the Podia course is, let's see, it's at HTTPS, it's drivetraffic.podia.com. That is where this course is. If I owned Podia, then I could put it over here. In your case, if you just have one website, is www.mylisting.com, you can enter it over here. A URL prefix means that we are limiting the access to the drive traffic portion of podia.com. I'll continue. Okay, and it's verified my access to get this data because of Google Analytics. So I use the same login for Google Analytics as I do for Google Search Console. And because I set up Google Analytics first, when I went to set up Google Search Console, there was no problem. It's using Google Analytics for verification. I'm going to go to property, which really is a done and go to property, as opposed to done will keep me on the wrong profile. So go to properties just a bit faster. There is no data because nobody has arrived on drivetraffic.podia.com from Google, nor do I expect traffic to come from Google to that page. That's not how I plan to market this course. I'm just hoping to have it available for some of my colleagues in the short-term rental industry, hoping to help people out in this time where we have no bookings and help you get more direct bookings, perhaps for summer. So that is Google Search Console in a nutshell. If you have any questions, need a hand, feel free to put that in the group and I will be happy to help you.